such a shock to know you really have no one. Only a river of changing faces looking for an ocean. They trickle through your leaky plans, another dream over the dam. And you're lying in some room feeling like your right to be human is going over too. Well, some are gonna knock you, and some will try and clock you. You know, it's really hard to talk sense to you. Troubled child, breaking like the waves at Malibu.
I was super naughty as a kid. Like, gnarly. I had myself a drug cartel of an operation at age, 4. Running sugar. Running soda and candy for myself. And I had an entire supply chain. And I had figured out which adults would buy into me and feel sorry for me and want to be on my team of making sure I got my pancreas a nice hit daily, even though my parents had absolutely ensured that I was not to, poorly ensured, that I was not to ingest white sugar. Nothing about it did I recognize as legitimate. Their concerns meant nothing to me. And, it's like, naughtiness, what even is that? Why do kids start doing that? Why did I? It all roots back to not feeling my parents present at times that really would have made the difference, would have helped me retain an awareness of them as worthy of my loyalty. I knew instinctively that they were not living lives that were entirely authentic. I watched my mother many times have two faces or multiple faces, showing, one way of being to the world, to friends, to even family, and then behaving very differently as soon as their faces turned away. And I put it together. I'm like, I'm not going to give my allegiance to that. That doesn't speak to my insides. And then when she wants to lay down the law with me, she's not a trustworthy god or baroness to give my servitude to, my agency over to. Hell no. And that is so often the case with kids when they, we can say, well, I can't meet my child's models all the time. And when they don't like me, they can make it up. I'm not worthy of their obedience, their compliance, their whatever you want to call that. They're going along with what I ask of them, and I just don't really agree. I give kids more credit. They're not simply allegiance-minded based on what they are going to get from us in a moment. They become that. They do. Although the original falling from grace has everything to do with them wisely connecting dots instinctively. When I was 4, I didn't sit there and think critically. I simply knew. I bypassed all of that rationality that actually often leads us all astray. And I just straight up knew when my mother wasn't being herself. And I knew when that lack of love was being applied to me, there's no math to do. It's just apparent. And as adults, we forget to give kids a deep respect for their unadulterated capacity to simply know what's up and read right into people. I used to watch visitors, family, friends come to our farm, and as they would walk up to my parents or to me, as they were getting out of their car, I would just read their energy, and I would know, oh, that person right there, she's very needy. She's going to start to pull on my energy and attempt to have some of it. She's going to try to get me to like her. Oh, that woman is insecure. I could just feel it, see it, plain as day. And all kids are like that. I know I wasn't unique. We have it bred out of us after a while. We have it combed out of our systems when we're told, no, subtly, and or we just realize, I don't want to have to see all this. I have a friend that distinctly remembers being a young child and shutting down what she was calling her third eye. She said, I had such intuition towards people, although what I was seeing at times was so painful to witness, so unappealing to my heart and my sensibilities. I just started to numb it out and not bother seeing it. And her intention at that later point in her life was to reawaken that capacity inside, so that she could use her innate knowingness. And that getting back to my childhood, that was something that my way of surviving what I found uncomfortable to tune into, feeling into my mother's regret at having me at times, feeling into her regret at the situation she was in, feeling overwhelmed by the scenario of 6 kids, 3 of whom were her nephews, coming all to live together and then deciding to have yet another one. We were a barnyard. We were an absolute barnyard of many animals under one roof, very different beings, different personalities, different traumas that had already been experienced by everyone. And she just was wanting to check out. And, looking back, it's understandable. And for the child in me, I couldn't fathom it. Why would you not want me? Why would you not want to have me here? And my way of managing that was not really retaliatory in as much as I didn't have a punishing way. Sometimes kids get into wanting to punish their parents. I don't remember really wanting to punish her. I just wanted to experience thrill. That's how, I was going to replace my heartache over not having a mother present and wanting and loving me. I was going to replace that with thrill seeking. That was my way of managing and buttressing my pain and distracting myself from my pain. Good old adrenaline junkie mode. And I got into it really early, and sugar, just jacking my system up. But yeah, doing things that were risque, and man, oh man, did I ever, it culminated in my choosing to both be with a man. First, it culminated in me, let me slow down. It culminated in me losing my virginity at a very young age, very, very, very young age. And then becoming so risque in that regard, and then getting together with a man older than my father when I'm only 12 years old, a pedophilic situation that rocked my nervous system, my body, my psyche for the rest of my life. I got to sort out what in the world did I do to myself, what was being encouraged in me to do to myself, what was that all about? And I was really just looking for my mother. I was looking for my dead and gone mother in this man's nurturance. And you combine that with having grown up in a very overly sexualized household with Hustler magazine sitting around, and having a father that was often speaking in such terms, brothers that were, it was such a barbaric type of approach to sexualization. And I grew up this tiny girl in the midst of that, and so I became hypersexualized at a very young age. And you put all that together, and it was a perfect formula for me to be very vulnerable to those types of energies in super inappropriate places in my life, and to be a magnet towards somebody who is ill in that department, in his psychology, in his body. And then, you know, further beyond that, so much drinking everywhere, drinking, alcohol, cocaine was around me. And I wasn't actually getting into a lot of it when I was with this older man, because he was not about that. That was like one upside to, it's so strange how there can be upsides amidst tragedy or things that are really harmful. There can be strange eddy outs that are positive, like me not doing as many drugs as my friends because of this guy and his influence in that regard. And although this one night I decided to get wild with a friend, and I didn't have many friends at the time. I was so consuming myself with this crazy relationship, secret relationship with this guy. And this one older upperclassman, I was a sophomore, I didn't have a license yet, and she was a senior, and she said, dress up as mature and hot as you can. We're going to go to the city. We're going to go party. And I was like, okay. You know, and in my mind, I'm like, here's an outlet for childhood. This was my warped idea of a good notion as a way to balance out this more academic, cerebral, overly mature attempt at meeting this man in peer, as his peer. This was my way of attempting to balance that, you know, by going and being wild again. So I'm like, all right, let's go. And we go to the city. She orders a bottle of wine. It's handed to us without question. She's only 18, and I'm 15. And no carding, they just hand us a whole bottle of wine. I start drinking it incessantly. Like, I start binge drinking this bottle because I'm like, she has to drive me home. Like, I had some wherewithal enough to know, like, I don't want this woman, this kid, being you know, altered to that degree that we're gonna have such an unsafe ride home. So I start, like, I don't want to tell her not to drink, so I'm just drinking as much as I can. And sure enough, she drives like 110 miles an hour home, the hour-ish home. It's less than that, especially at night. I'm going that fast. We zoomed home, and then we get to the downtown of our little town, and she says, let's go see my boyfriend. And it turns out she's got a 46-year-old. I am now 46. This guy was my age now, and a boyfriend. And he owned a restaurant in the town, and it was after hours, just started after hours. He had shut it down, and she said, let's go. I've checked in with him. He's there, and he's got a friend, and let's go bar hopping. So here we are, these kids, and now we're going to go bar hopping. Turns out the friend, was an off-duty cop. He could tell we were kids. He didn't give a shit. He was just along for the ride. He ends up coming on to me that night. I end up putting his hand back in his own lap and reminding him that he has a wife that he loves. I essentially just sat and listened while he bemoaned his marriage and spoke to how much it wasn't working out, and I just basically held his hand back then. Bizarre. Meanwhile, I'm drinking a vodka tonic every single place we go. And the night wraps up now. We're going back to my friend's car, which apparently she is supposedly going to be driving us back to her place. And instead she gets out and says, I've been fighting with my guy all night. I need to talk with him some more. You take my car back to my place. You drive. You can drive it, right? And I had already driven her car around the town. She had loaned it to me at times. Mind you, I didn't have a license yet. I'm 15 years old, stick shift car, little red Saab. And I said, oh yeah, absolutely. I got this. Ain't no thing. She's like, okay, you sure? Yep. Are you okay? You're well enough to drive? Yep. I had so much alcohol in my system. It's not really to be believed. I don't know how I was functioning even that well in that moment to even say so and be believable whatsoever. But she believed me. I hopped in her car, she hopped in his, and off I went. And it was only halfway to her part of town that I realized I don't even know where she lives. I've not even been there once, and I don't know the address or anything. And this is pre-cell phone days. We're talking back in the early 90s. And no, I had no idea what I was going to do. So I'm like, no problem. I'll just tool around the town, the neighborhood, and see if I can't find a house that sounds familiar. I mean, none of it. This is vodka talking entirely, right? And I was driving 85 miles an hour down the main old post road. And it's incredible. I didn't kill myself, didn't kill anyone. Really, literally incredible. I remember looking at my face in the rearview mirror for a moment and just seeing this grimace. I was like holding back a dam of poison to my brain as to help me survive that moment. Like, that's the look that was in my face, just pure sheer determination to not black out as I drove along. And I get to this back little alley, a dead end area where I think I'm even remotely in her neighborhood. Again, none of this making any sense. And I still think it does. And I do a U-ey on this back spot, quiet little cul-de-sac area. And meow, here's a policeman. And he followed me in there. And unbeknownst to me, and I instantly flash on a story one of my older brothers told me about evading cops. And I hit the accelerator. And I was like, I have to evade this guy. I was a straight A student. I was in a singing group, and the singing group had become my lifeline. And she had always told us, if I catch you guys drinking even once or smoking even once, you're out. That is a serious ledge right there that I was not about to fall from. So I just was going to do everything in my power to get away with this situation. And I take off. I knew he still had to turn around. So I take off running, and I dip into this driveway, not terribly far along, thinking I could just cut the engine, be still. He'd go flying by, and I'd have some kind of chance at this whole thing. And what happened was, as I dip in, I couldn't find the ignition to turn the car off because I was wasted, and this car's ignition is down in the console. I don't know if you recall this about Saabs, but said they were made for a while with the ignition in a weird spot. So I'm just fumbling around looking for the key, can't find it. I finally just give up and hop out with the engine still running. And I black out instantly, and I fall to the ground, and I can, in that numbed out way, feel all the rocks on my legs as I fall to the earth. And then I'm literally blind. I'm blacked out, but I'm not unconscious. And I just start crawling. And I crawl till I reach this house, the siding of a house, and I put my hands along it, and I stand up alongside it, and I'm in the bushes, and I'm just making a big old mess. And I carry on. I'm like, okay, I think I'm in the backyard. And then I hear the police sirens 360 degrees all around me. Like, I'm running towards the sound no matter which direction I go, from what I could tell. And I'm like, I'm cooked. I'm just cooked. So I turn around, and now I can sort of see. Like, the black is cleared enough that I can turn around, and I can see these two policemen walking up to me. And one says, "You reek of alcohol," and he turns me around, handcuffs me, and they throw me in the back of the car. Now I'm on my way to the police station, and I just start crying, and I said, I really can't believe this is happening. And I'm saying this out loud to these guys, and I'm like, I start waxing philosophical. I'm like, if this can happen to me, this can literally happen to anyone. Like, this isn't who I am. This isn't the kind of person I am. So, like, what does this even actually mean about our entire society? And this one guy, the passenger cop, he turns around and he just looks at me and he goes, "Kid, we don't get paid enough for this shit. Just be quiet, please. Please." So, okay. I'm sorry. I just, like, nothing in me was even out to get away with it anymore. I just, like, in my delirium, I just, like, wanted to understand myself and the world in this moment. And there's something to that. I'm still asking the question, you know? What is it that can bring a really dear soul? I was very cherubic as a true tiny one, as a real little one. I was cherubic, and I loved my family, and I loved myself, and I loved to dance and to fill my heart with purity and pure creativity and sharing and being what one might call good or cooperative. And that I could go from that to end up like this. And I remember my mother when I was small, that as I started to be disobedient of her laws and the edicts, I recall wanting to play with her and be flirtatious with her and, you know, just be teasing and not cooperate, but just as a way to banter with her one night. And I remember her putting me on her lap and saying, "Now, Heidi," and putting her finger into my chest, on my, you know, tapping my chest with her pointer finger. "You have a little devil inside you." And at first I'm like, oh, give me a break. That's absolutely ridiculous to say. And I was like, "Oh, Mommy, I do not." And she says, she doubles down and she puts her finger in a way that hurt against my sternum. You do. You have a little devil inside you. I'm serious." And I will never forget that. And I have, what I have had to do to hypnotize myself, to wake myself up from that notion. It's like truly we live the stories, not only we tell ourselves, but that we are given to tell to ourselves about ourselves. And I just literally bought in that moment, like, oh my God, my mother is serious and she means that, and maybe she's right. Like, is there something devilish about me? And then it's like I just started being that way in a way. It's like, see, yep, I guess I just am that. Yep, since I'm that, I'm gonna have some fun. There's always a reason that we start to go astray from our own true essences and natures. And that's the point of this story that I'm telling, is what was yours? Where did you buy into anything in the world? Your parents, your friends, your siblings, your aunties, your grandparents. Where did you ever hear something negative? And maybe it was never verbal. Maybe it was just in the way that it was said, or the way, maybe it was just in the way that you were being treated with a lack of regard or sensitivity that is just basically deserved by all of us as essentially divine, dear, tender beings. Where were you not treated with presence in such a way that you took it personally and started to tell yourself? It wasn't that my mother said that to me that did me harm. It wasn't her. It was that I decided to believe it. It was when I bought in that and that is not to exempt her from the responsibility of influencing me in that direction. It's quite sad. It speaks to for me now, it just speaks to that she felt that way about herself. And she was projecting that onto me. And I know it's not personal to me now. And I feel for her that she had that going on. And it was influential towards my harming myself with notions, false notions that I then played out to the extent that I was literally behaving actually demonic as an adult. I had that capacity in me, that weak link in my psyche to go literally psychopathic for a while, to where I was harming myself and I was screaming at life that I hated it and that Heidi was gone and she was never coming back. I had a total what do they call that? Disassociative. But there's another terminology. It's like I had that condition where you can't even find any isness of yourself, that suchness that helps you know, oh yeah, I'm Heidi, I'm this person, I have this way of feeling inside. It was like all of that just couldn't be found at times in me. That's how much I took it to the fullest extent of what it is to buy into notions that are unhealthy. In this case, that I had a devil inside me, and now I do have a condition that can feel devilish. It feels against me, against my harmony, and I just simply don't buy into it anymore. It's a dragon that I've tamed through non-compliance with it. I just don't believe in it. I know better. I know my mythology is healthy now. I know that I am angelic. I'm a cherub. That is my true nature. And sure, I have the capacity in me to be all those old things. I will always have that capacity. That's what our free agency is all about. I just have chosen the light, the truth of myself enough times now. I don't have to try to choose it. I just do. It's not hard anymore. And to any degree, you have any stories that you're unworthy, not enough, not whole. I'm just here to say, through my own testimony and my own life journey, that's not true. You are, at your essential nature, pure light and mysteriously magnificent. And no matter how much you've ever bought into notions about yourself that are horrific, and no matter how real you've made that and turned, you may have turned your entire life into a painting of that picture, and a garnering of evidence to prove the picture. Even so, there's never going to be proof enough to convince me of who you are if it isn't that which is made of light, made by light, of light, is light, and always will be, in a way that is uncorruptible.
John, come kiss me now.